Hi, everyone. You know, when I was 7 years old, this little guy appeared to all the adults on Sesame Street in 1985. So Snuffy was sort of born, but Big Bird had always had Snuffleupagus as an imaginary friend, but he did not appear to others until 1985. And one of my favorite stories about Snuffy was written in 1988 when I was 10. And that story we're going to be reading today. Right, Jocelyn? And that story is The Day Snuffy Had the Sniffles. And I hope y'all will enjoy today's story time with Jocelyn. Let us begin. The Day Snuffy Had the Sniffles by Linda Lee Maifair and illustrated by Tom Brannon. At first, this book was a little golden book. The Grouch, my second favorite, popped up out of his can just in time to see Big Bird skipping down Sesame Street. "Go away, Bird," Oscar grumbled. "All that cheerfulness will ruin my day. Besides, it's time to collect the trash. I'm too busy to talk to you." "That's okay, Oscar," Big Bird said. "I'm in a big hurry to get to Snuffy's house so I can cheer him up. He has the sniffles." "Grouches don't know anything about cheering anybody up," said Oscar, "but we do know a lot about the sniffles. I have just the thing for you to take to old Snuffle Nose. Wait here." Before Big Bird could say anything, Oscar disappeared into his can, banging the lid shut behind him. Big Bird was waiting impatiently for Oscar when Cookie Monster came along. "What the matter?" Cookie asked Big Bird. "Somebody eat all your cookies?" "Worse than that," Big Bird said. "Snuffy's got the sniffles and can't come out to play. I'm waiting for Oscar. He has a surprise for me to take to Snuffy." "Cheer up, surprise," said Cookie Monster. "Wait here." He left in such a rush that he nearly ran into Bert. As soon as Bert heard that Snuffy had the sniffles, he told Big Bird, "I know just the thing to cheer up a Snuffy Sniffleupagus. Wait here." He dashed into 123 Sesame Street before Big Bird could open his beak to say one word. Big Bird plopped down on the steps next to Oscar's can. "At this rate, I'll never get to see Snuffy," he said. He tapped his foot. He stood up. He paced back and forth. He sat down. Then he did the same thing all over again. Jocelyn, just when Big Bird decided that he couldn't wait 1 second longer, Bert ran down the steps and handed him a large shoebox. Big Bird peeked inside. "It's my bottle cap collection," Bert said proudly. "You can lend it to Snuffy. It will give him something fascinating to look at while he's sick in bed. There's nothing more exciting than bottle caps, except maybe paper clips." Do y'all remember Bert's bottle cap collection? I'm pretty sure it's pretty big by now. Before Big Bird could answer, Cookie Monster came back, huffing and puffing. He held a slightly dented cookie tin. "Gee, thanks, Cookie," Big Bird said. He tugged at the lid. "I just know Snuffy will enjoy all these cookie crumbs." Cookie Monster shrugged. "It's the thought that counts," he said. He brushed chocolate chips and cookie crumbs off his tummy. I know, I think Cookie Monster ate the cookies. Sure cheered me up. Not much there left for Snuffy, is there? Just then, Oscar popped up back out of his trash can. Here, Bird, he said, the perfect thing for old Sniffy. He placed a jar of something lumpy and green on top of the shoebox and the cookie tin. It's an old family recipe handed down from Grand Grouch to Mama Grouch. It's sure to cure even Snuffleupagus-sized Sniffles, sardine, and sauerkraut soup. Ugh. Ugh. Jocelyn didn't like that one either. Ugh. Bert and Cookie Monster held their noses. Ugh, it must stink. Black, they said. Ugh, right, Jocelyn? Ugh. You better get a move on, Bird, said Oscar. Can't let that soup get too warm. Sardine and sauerkraut soup only tastes its worst when it's good and cold. Ugh. Juggling the shoebox, the cookie tin, and the smelly grouch soup, Big Bird started off again. He was glad to be on his way to Snuffy's at last. He got as far as the library when he met Betty Lou. As soon as she heard where Big Bird was going, Betty Lou said, I know just the thing to cheer up Snuffy. Come on. Before Big Bird could make a peep, Betty Lou took him up the steps into the library. Everybody's sure in a hurry to make me wait, said Big Bird, looking around. Finally, Betty Lou came back. She balanced a thick book on top of Big Bird's bundles. Here is an animal picture book for Snuffy to look at all by himself. And here's a monster storybook for his mother to read to him. She piled an even thicker book on top of the first one. There's nothing like a good book to cheer you up. Jocelyn knows, right? Because of Storytime, she said. That reminds me, we're due a library trip, Jocelyn. Big Bird's arms were so full he couldn't wave goodbye to Betty Lou. It's a good thing Snuffy's cave isn't far, he said. What do we have there, Big Bird? The Count called from his castle window. 1 shoebox, 1 tin, 1 jar, 2 books. Wonderful! Big Bird told the Count why he was in a hurry. I have just the thing for your friend, the Count said. Wait here. After what seemed like hours to Big Bird, the Count came out of his castle and handed him a box of tissues. Snuffy can count them and count them as much as he pleases, and they'll come in handy whenever he sneezes, the Count said. Crinkled and wrinkled tissues stuck out of the box. I counted them myself. There are 200 tissues, he told Big Bird. That is a lot of tissues for the nose. Right, Jocelyn? Big Bird tiptoed quietly past Grady's cow barn. My, you do have your hands full, said Gladys. I said Grady's is Gladys. These are surprises for Snuffy, Big Bird explained. He has the sniffles. I've been trying all morning to go cheer him up. Well, any cow knows there's only one way to do that, Gladys said. Wait here. Not again, Big Bird said. But Gladys had already trotted into the barn. Gladys's cheer-up present turned out to be a pint of ice cream. Ooh, yum. It was getting soft and soggy in the noontime sun, Jocelyn. Nothing puts you in a good mood like ice cream, Gladys said. Her bell tinkled as she balanced the squishy ice cream carton on top of the wrinkled tissues and the books, and the jar and the empty cookie tin and the shoebox. Big Bird watched the sticky pink drops fall onto his toes. It's strawberry! Mmm, Gladys explained. Big Bird finally made it to Snuffy's cave without dropping a single present. He pushed open the front door with his foot. Then he had a terrible thought. I brought all these presents for Snuffy, and not a single one of them is from me. I forgot to bring Snuffy a present. Big Bird signed a deep sigh and shifted the slippery pile of presents. I hope Snuffy won't be too disappointed, he said. And there was Snuffy, propped up on huge stuffed pillows in his Snuffleupagus-sized bed. On a tray in front of him were a glass of orange juice, a box of cough drops, a coloring book, and a box of crayons. Snuffy had an ice pack on his head and a thermometer sticking out of his mouth. Snuffy's mother took the thermometer and studied it for a moment. No more fever, she said. She took a bottle and measured the orange Sniffles medicine into a spoon. Snuffy swallowed it all. She gave Snuffy a big hug. Cheer up, she told him. You'll be out of that bed in no time. Uh-oh, Big Bird said. The cheer-up surprises were slipping from his grasp. Achoo! Snuffy seized a gigantic snuffle seize that rattled everything in the room, and the presents crashed to the floor. Oh, dear, Snuffy's mother said. Big Bird stood in the doorway, feeling sadder than ever. How could he cheer up Snuffy now? What a mess. Snuffy blew his sniffle in his handkerchief, the size of a tablecloth. Then he smiled at Big Bird. Oh, Bud, he snuffled. How did you guess what I wanted to cheer me up? Big Bird stared at the mess on the floor. What's that, Snuffy? He asked. The bottle caps, the cookie crumbs, the melted ice cream, or the sardine and sauerkraut soup? No, Bird, Snuffy answered. It's a visit from you. And that cheered Big Bird up too. He just wanted to see his best friend. Aww. And that is all that matters. And now they get to play their checkers today together while Snuffy gets well again. Aww. Did y'all know that Snuffleupagus' birthday is August 19th? That's a fun fact. And I don't know if I can ever really say this, but I've heard it. Snuffy's first name is Allosaurus. His has Allosaurus, and he has a little sister named Alice. And Big Bird's birthday is March 20th. That's pretty close to Jocelyn's birthday. And Big Bird's favorite treat is birdseed milkshake. I don't think I've ever tried that, but you never know. Unlike most birds, Big Bird can't fly. So I thought that was a cute little book to read today. I hope y'all enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that. I wanted to give you just a little bit fun clue about Sesame Street. Did you know that the first Sesame Street episode premiered in 1969? That is 9 years before I was born. 9 years. And the book that we read the first week of this month, The Monster at the End of the Book, that was published 7 years before I was ever born in 1971. So that's some fun facts about Sesame Street. And that is the story that the day that Snuffy had the sniffles. I hope y'all enjoyed that. And we will see you next week for the very last week of Sesame Street. And we'll be reading a story, or maybe two, because we're going to end with a part 2 to the first story about the monster at the end of the book. We're going to end next week with that continuation of that story, starring Grover and Elmo. So I hope y'all join us next week for that. So we'll see you next week for another story time with Jocelyn. Have a blessed weekend. Bye-bye. Right, Jocelyn? I think she's good. Bye.